Welcome back to the Lingua Loom. Today we're going to start another topic of the syntax series, which is episode number 4. This is denotation versus connotation. It means two words, same dictionary meaning, but one feels warm and the other feels cold. That gap between the literal and the felt is what this episode is about. So let's move forward, starting with the first part, which is words carry more than their definitions. Open any dictionary and look at the word snake. You will find something like a legless reptile of the suborder Serpentis. That is a denotation, which means dictionary meaning. This is called precise and biological fact about the snake. But when a politician is called a snake, when a poet writes of a serpent in the garden, when a mother warns her child about the snake, none of them are thinking about taxonomy like legless reptile. They are drawing in everything the word feels like: treachery, danger, the uncanny evil. That is connotation. So one is dictionary meaning, another is culturally associated meaning. We have discussed in previous video. We're going to study here in detail. Understanding its distinction is not just useful for linguistics, it is essential for reading literature, analyzing political language, understanding advertising, and recognizing when language is being used to manipulate. So this is about understanding the bigger picture about language. So here it is. Denotation is literal layer, whereas connotation the felt layer. So let's look at this. The denotation of the word is its direct literal dictionary level meaning. The core concept the word refers to, stripped of any emotional coloring or cultural association. Denotation is what you would find in a scientific textbook, a legal document, or a clinical report. It is precise, stable, and shared by all competent speakers of a language. Whereas connotation is emotional, cultural, and associative meaning layered on top of the literal definition, the baggage, the flavor, the feeling that the word carries. While the connotation can be positive, negative, or neutral, they vary across cultures, communities, and time. They are why the word choice matters so profound in literature, journalism, and politics. So easy to be saying, denotation is just a dictionary meaning of the word, of what this word means, but connotative is the associative meaning with the word. So denotation, the literal referential meaning. That what does the dictionary say? Objective, stable, shared, the semantic core. Whereas the connotation is associative, emotional meaning. What does the world feel like? Subjective, variable, cultural, the semantic color of the word. Let's move on to the second part. That is same meaning, different feel. Well, let's check these words. Well, this is first miser. Well, this bar shows the negative connotation, that these were are more negatively associated, while these are positive. That's how they're displayed. So miser, a person who saves money carefully and is reluctant to spend it. It is Deeply negative in connotation, a miser is defined by greed, selfishness, pathological attachment to money, conjures image of Scrooge, someone who hoards wealth. Well, this is what this that it is a negative association, not a positive one. Let's take a cheapskate. It is denotation. A person who avoids spending money, especially on others. Negative but lighter than miser. Cheapskate is socially embarrassing. The person who never buys around a drink, always find an excuse not to pay. Then go to economical. It is the denotation is careful not to waste money or resources. Whereas connotation is neutral to mildly positive. Economical is functional and practical. It simply describes someone who manages resources efficiently. It carries no strong emotional charge. It is a word a financial advisor might use. So neither admirable or nor shameful. So it's a neutral word. Whereas frugal, it is the denotation is sparing and careful with money and resources, avoiding waste. Whereas connotation is positive, frugality implies wisdom and self-discipline. A frugal person has made a conscious principled choice to live within their means. The connotation suggests admirable restraints, often linked to environmental awareness and considered living. So it is positive. Next one is thrifty. That is, denotation meaning is using money and other resources carefully and not wastefully. Connotation is very positive. To see is almost celebratory. It implies resourcefulness, cleverness, and virtue. These people are presented as role models in personal finance. The word carries connotations of wholesome, self-sufficiency, and traditional values. Well, these are the words and the range according to the meaning as negative or positive. So the academic foundation is denotation is the primary definitional cognitive meaning of a word, its logical or conceptual content. Connotation encompasses the communicative values that an expression has by virtue of what it refers to over and above its purely conceptual content. Well, this is given by Leach in Semantics, the study of meaning. And also from here to Semantics by Lens. Let's go to another example, a real example. Denotation and connotation in action. So let's look at these examples. First one is slime versus skinny versus gaunt. Is the body, same physical description. The denotation shared by all three is that a person with a low body mass relative to their weight. A practically thin or lean person, the core biological description is essentially the same. So they all mean the same in denotation, whereas in connotation they're very different. Slim. It's slim. Slim means attractive, healthy, desirable. Whereas skinny is excessively thin, slightly negative. It is in connotation meaning gaunt is unhealthy, thin, sickly, associated with illness or suffering. Same body, three different, completely associated meaning according to culture, society, and emotion. So slim, skinny, and gaunt. Same denotation but different connotation. Next one is statesman, politician, demagogue. Let's look at same shared denotation. Is all three refer to a person who exercises political power, leads public affairs, or seek to influence government. The referential core a person in politics is broadly shared. Whereas connotation, different meaning, statement, voice, principle, respected, politician is neutral to mildly negative and self-interested, whereas demagogue is dangerous, manipulative, appeals to mob emotions. The connotation carry the entire political judgment. So how they are referred as tells about how they are made in connotation. Well, moving forward to the next, childlike versus childish. Denotation shared by both is resembling or characteristic of a child. The denotative root is the same, the word child plus a suffix. They describe the same basic category of behavior, whereas connotation is opposite. Childlike is innocent, wonderful, endearing. Her childlike curiosity made science fun. This is an example, easy to understand for this. Childish is immature, petty, annoying. So example is his children behaved his childish behavior embarrassed everyone. One suffix swap and held connotations flip. So let's look at the other one. Died versus passed away versus kicked the bucket. The denotative meaning shared by the three of them is same biological event, that is cessation of life. That someone is that certificate usually uses all three to mean the same recorded event. Whereas connotation, they have different meaning. Died means neutral, clinical, and direct, whereas passed away is gentle, respectful, used in sensitive context. Whereas kick the bucket is humorous and informal. So connotation determines social context entirely. So these are the examples. Died away, then childlike, statesman, and slim. Let's move forward. So here it is. The distinction between denotation and connotation is not merely academic. It is the mechanism through which language encodes ideology, shapes perception, and exercises power, often invisibly. Adapted from Fowler's work, Language in the News, Discourse, and Ideology in the Press. Let's move on with language and power, part number 4, which is connotation as a weapon. So now, where is the connotation denotation distinction more consequential than in political and media language? Well, this shows that the meaning depends upon connotation more than in denotation in the political and media language. Let's look at it. First one is same referent, different connotation. Terrorist versus freedom fighter. Yes. Well, the both refer to same person. Let's look at this. Terrorist versus freedom fighter. Well, for one country it can be a terrorist, and for another it can be a freedom fighter. So one person can be both depending upon how they're perceived by different communities. So same referent but different ideologies. That's how it works. That one person can be a hero for one country and a villain for another. So that's how easy. Then another one is regime versus government. Well, birth denote that body that governs a country, but regime carries an authoritative illegitimacy and oppression, while its government is neutral. So same referent but different legitimacy signal. So another one is illegal alien, undocumented migrant. It just moved to there by mistake. So both describes a person living in a country without official legal status. Illegal alien dehumanizes and criminalizes undocumented migrants, emphasizes the administrative situation, one-word choice, enormous political and human difference. So this shows that how a person can be treated by different choice of words. Another one is propaganda and public information. So let's look at that. Both can denote state-produced communication intended to shape public opinion. The difference is entirely connotative, which is propaganda implies deception and manipulation, whereas public information implies transparency and service. While propaganda is taken as negative and public information is taken as positive. It depends upon how a person perceives it and how the information is presented. So this is how the meaning of words are affected. Now let's look at part 5, connotation in Urdu. So these are few examples. Maut, which is death, Arabic origin. Stock and final. So denotation, the end of life, but the connotation is blunt, heavy, almost brutal in its directness, using news reports, religious context, and statement of facts. The world lands like a door slamming shut. That is end of life. The connotation is final, stock, heavy, whereas another word for it, vassal, which is union or that which used mostly in poetic and in polite situation. So technically meeting or union, but in Urdu Sufi poetry, Wisal is used for death, specifically the death of a beloved, understood as ultimate union with the divine. The connotation is ecstatic, spiritual, transcendent, same referent as Maut. So they're both referring to the same thing, but how they're presented as that's the one that changes the whole situation. Then other one is Ghar and Makan. So let's look at the Ghar first, which is warmth and sense of belonging. This is connotative in meaning, being warmth and belonging. The denotation is a dwelling place, but connotation is what describes it better, a warmth, family, safety, belonging. It carries a weight of everything one longs for. So whereas makan, it is a formal term which is a structure without soul. It is administrative, formal, structural. State agents use makan. Text documents use Makanti. It is a building with wall and roof. The warmth of Ghar is completely absent here. Same denotation but zero connotation of home. So Ghar shows home, whereas Makan shows house. So that's how easy it is. Let's move forward. That is literature and connotation. Why poets choose words so carefully. So great poets are master of connotation. They rarely choose a word purely for its connotation. They choose it for their emotional resonance, the cultural association, the weight it carries. So let's look at. Shall I compare thee to a summer day? Well, why summer? Summer's day, denotation a day during summer, but connotation is warmth, beauty, abundance, perfection. Shakespeare chose summer specifically for its positive connotation, not winter, which is cold, represents death, or spring, which is youth but represents unstable. Summer is peak beauty as it's almost established. So notice Shakespeare could have written Autumn's Lease. Same, well, it's about that, so let's check this one first. Okay. So sonnet number 18. Shall I compare thee to a summer day? We have looked at summer. Thou art more lovely and more temperate. Temperate, denotation is moderation, moderate in temperature, but connotation is calm, balanced, even tempered in character. So not just physically mild. The word works on two levels simultaneously. It compares physical mildness and praises personality, a single word doing double connotative duty. So this is how it is. Let's move on to the third line, which is rough winds do shake the darling buds of May. So darling, denotation is beloved or favorite. So applied here to the buds of May, not to a person. So connotation of tender affection is deliberately extended to nature, creating a sense that the whole world is precious and beloved. The word choice makes nature intimate. So that's how the words are described in denotation and connotation. And summer's lease hath all too short a date. So lease, the denotation is a legal contract for temporary use of property. The connotation is deliberately legalistic and cold. Shakespeare is saying that summer has only a temporary limited claim on existence. The contractual word reinforces a theme of time running out, unexpected connotation, creating dramatic effect. So that's how meaning are looked at in literary works, both at what is their denotation and how they're used in connotative context to broaden the horizon of a word and present it more beautifully. So here's the note that Shakespeare could have written Autumn's Lease. Same denotation, very different connotation. He chose summer for its emotional resonance, not its calendar effect. That is, connotation doing the work of poetry. So this tells about the importance of words, that how their position and their use matter and what effect do they have. So let's move on to the advertising, the advertiser's secret weapon. So advertiser, professional connotation engineers, they never choose words by accident. Here's the same product, a small affordable car, described two different ways. Same connotation, completely different connotation strategy. So let's look at this example. That's a negative connotation where a cheap small car with basic features. Well, no, that even sound like it's not appealing. Cheap is connotation is poor quality, low status. Small, well, this represents cramped, inferior. Basic, this represents stripped down, inadequate. So every word choice fires a negative connotation. The denotation is accurate, but nobody buys this car. Same product, zero sale. Where the other one is positive connotation variant example. This is an affordable compact car with essential elegance. So this shows the word choice is what defines it even though both are selling the same product, but here the word choice is different, totally different. Affordable shows smart, value conscious, while compact shows efficient, city ready. Essential elegance shows tasteful simplicity. The same physical core, but connotation completely transformed. This version will still has the word choice matters a lot. So this is this. Moving onward to the next part, which is knowledge check. Let's look at this question to test yourselves. You can even use them for your study. So what is the denotation of a word? The emotional association and cultural baggage of the world carries. The core literal dictionary meaning. The grammar category. Well, we have not discussed this grammar categories out. The way the word sounds, well, we have not talked about spoken. So it's have two, so it's between two. So we have already decided that from D we're going to look at. So it's dictionary level, meaning associated. So let's move on to the next one. Slim, skinny, and gaunt all refer to a thin person. What differs between them? Their denotation. Each describes different body type. Their connotation. Each carry different emotional and associate. Their grammar. Well, this is out. We have not talking about grammar. Their reference. We're not talking about the reference, as we have already decided. They are all referring to a thin person, so same reference. So it's going to be, well, denotation, it's referring to same person, so different it can't be than their connotation. So here it is. Option number 2 is correct, which is all three words describe a thin person. A denotation is shared. What differs is the connotation, as we have discussed it earlier. So let's move on to the other one. In Urdu, ghar and makan both refer to the dwelling. What makes ghar feel different from makan? So let's look at the option. Ghar refers to a bigger building than makan. Well, we're not talking about size. Say it's not. Ghar is a verb and makan is a noun. Well, no grammar category discussed, so out. Ghar carries warm connotation of belonging and family. Makan is administrative and emotionally neutral. They have the same denotation and the same connotation. Well, same denotation and connotation. We are not decided upon that and while discussing earlier, so it is option number 3, which is the same, share the same basic denotation, which is a place to live, but in connotation, a ghar carries rich connotation of warmth, family, belonging, and longing, while makan is cool and administrative. So this is the distinction. Let's move on to the fourth one, which is a terrorist versus freedom fighter is a classic example showing that connotation can change the denotation of the world entirely, encode a political or ideological position within the word choice itself, make two grammatically equivalent, remove all meaning from, well, these are out of the box, so it's between these two. Let's look at this one. Well, option number 2 is correct. It's depending upon ideologies, what the word choice decides. So this is it, same denotation but opposite connotation, and the difference encodes the speaker's entire political position. It's an ideological statement. Now moving on to the next one. In Shakespeare's sonnet number 18, why does he specifically use the word summer's day rather than autumn day? Because autumn has one or more syllables. While we're not talking about phonetics, so it is out because he literally meant a day in June. Well, it can't be considered. Let's look at the third one. Because summer carries connotation of peak beauty and warmth, the positive association he wants for the beloved. Well, that's quite close. The fourth option is because autumn was not yet an English word. Well, we're not discussing etymology of the word, so I think it's four. Say it's four. It is correct. Summer carries connotation of peak, beauty, warmth, and perfection, exactly what Shakespeare wanted to evoke for the beloved. Autumn would carry connotation of decline and death, as we have discussed it earlier. So let's move on to the last one, which is which of these best explain why advertisers say affordable instead of cheap for a low priced product. So because affordable is more accurate denotatively. Second option is because cheap is grammatically incorrect in the grammar is not being discussed, so it is out. Because cheap has negative connotation of poor quality, while affordable connotates smart value spending. Well, the fourth option because affordable refers to the different price point. Well, it is out as we have not discussed it, so it's option number 3. Exactly. So cheap and affordable are nearly synonym. Tentatively, both mean low in price, but cheap connotates poor quality and low status, while affordable connotes smart, value-conscious decision-making. Advertisers are connotation engineers. So these are the 6 MCQs. Very easy for preparation. And look at the lecture. So coming up next is the semantic features. How do we break the words, meaning of the words into smaller components? So this is it for today. I hope you like it and understand it. This lecture tells about that how words are used in different situations and how their meaning are encoded and decoded. So this is it for today. I hope you understand it. Thanks for watching. Please do like, subscribe and share, and do comment to us. It is important for YouTube algorithm. That's it for today. Enjoy your day.